In the quiet and serene town of Morata de Tajuna, Spain, a horrific crime sent shockwaves through the close-knit community. Three elderly siblings, Emilia, Angelis, and Pepe Gutierrez, were tragically found dead in their home. The siblings were the unfortunate victims of a brutal and senseless murder. Their bodies were discovered partially burned, adding to the horror of the crime. Pepe, the youngest of the siblings, had a mental disability. He was innocent and not involved in the tragic events that led to the murders. His sisters, Angelis and Emilia, found themselves ensnared in a terrible situation. They were unsuspecting victims of an elaborate online romance scam. This scam, which preyed on their loneliness, would have deadly consequences. Angelis and Emilia Gutierrez were sending large sums of money to people they met online. They were led to believe these individuals were US soldiers in need. The sisters thought they were in genuine romantic relationships with these men. They trusted them completely. Over the course of 6 years, the sisters sent a significant amount of money. The total amount they sent was approximately 400,000 euros. They exhausted all their savings in the process. Desperate to continue supporting their supposed lovers, they also took out multiple loans. The sisters found themselves drowning in debt. During this time, the sisters knew Dilawar Hussein Choudhury. He was a former lodger who had stayed with them. Choudhury had lived with them for a period. He had lent the sisters a substantial amount of money. The amount he lent them was at least 50,000 euros. Choudhury had also physically assaulted Emilia in the past. He was convicted of assaulting her and subsequently went to jail. Choudhury was released from prison in September. Soon after his release, he would be responsible for the tragic deaths of the three siblings. Dilawar Hussein Choudhury was 42 years old, a man with a troubled past. He admitted to killing the Gutierrez siblings in cold blood. Choudhury said he did it because they owed him money. He was deeply frustrated and felt cornered. They could not pay back the 50,000 euro loan, a debt that weighed heavily on him. This mounting frustration led him to commit the unthinkable act of murder. Choudhury had assaulted Emilia before, showing a pattern of violence. This showed he could be violent and his temper was dangerous. He was capable of extreme violence when pushed to his limits. The unpaid debt put immense pressure on him, affecting his mental state. This created a dangerous situation for the siblings. Choudhury wanted his money desperately. He couldn't get it, so he took their lives in a fit of rage. After the murders, Choudhury went to the police, burdened by his actions. He confessed to his crimes, unable to live with the guilt. He is now in jail, awaiting his fate. He is waiting for his trial, which will determine his future. The community is in shock, grappling with the tragedy. The case shows how dangerous online romance scams and financial pressures can be. The sisters were victims of a scam, a cruel and heartless deception. It is a common scam on the internet, one that preys on the unsuspecting and the vulnerable. Fraudsters pretend to be romantic partners, weaving intricate lies to gain trust. Their ultimate goal is to steal money, exploiting emotions and trust. The scammers pretended to be US soldiers, heroes in uniform. They gained the sisters' trust through sweet words and promises. The sisters believed they were in real relationships filled with hope and affection. The scammers made up elaborate stories, each more convincing than the last. They said they needed money for emergencies, playing on the sisters' compassion. They preyed on the sisters' emotions, manipulating their kindness. The sisters wanted to help, believing they were supporting their loved ones. They believed they were helping their boyfriends, men who were supposedly in need. They sent more and more money, unaware of the deceit. They didn't know it was a scam, a cruel trick played on their hearts. This type of scam targets vulnerable people, those who are trusting and kind-hearted. Scammers use emotions to exploit them. This case is important, a stark reminder of the dangers online. It shows how important it is to be careful online to protect oneself from such deceit. Be careful when talking to strangers. Don't share personal information, no matter how convincing they seem. Don't send money to strangers online. It can be dangerous and lead to heartbreak. The Gutierrez sisters' friends and neighbors knew about the money. They knew the sisters were sending a lot of money to people online. They were worried. They tried to warn Emilia and Angelis. They said it could be a scam. The sisters didn't believe them. They thought their online relationships were real. They trusted the men they met online. They didn't think they were being scammed. They dismissed the warnings. This case is tragic. It shows how strong online relationships can be. People can be blind to warning signs. It is important to communicate. Listen to different perspectives. This is important when sending money. Romance scams are a growing problem. They are happening more and more. More people are using online dating and social media. Scammers can easily find victims online. They look for people who want companionship. These scams target older adults. Older adults may be more trusting, they may be lonely, they are vulnerable to this type of manipulation. These scams can hurt people financially and emotionally. Victims can lose a lot of money. They can lose their life savings. They feel ashamed and betrayed. Law enforcement is working to stop these scams, but prevention and education are important. We need to stop these scams.